Hey guys, Maggie here. So, you guys already heard what's going on with the Fantastic Four, right? And I'm going to be discussing about it. So, let's get to it. Before we start, you guys, if you guys really enjoyed the video, to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, please, you guys, check the description to follow my social media platforms, alright? And of course, in the description, please subscribe my husband, Kaim Kendra, guys. My husband's so talented, so unique, and phenomenal. So, please find a writing agency or agent for my husband and give him a contact because my husband's trying to get his book published and he works so hard, okay? I don't like to being pushy, but my husband does really work hard, you guys. So don't let him down, okay? Love you, Kaimi. Love you. So let's get back to the video about Fantastic Four, right? So according to Cultural Crave, they posted this article out here, and two celebs for the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out, and they're speaking about you know, their characters, obviously. And I don't know how I feel about it, but let's have my reaction towards this, okay? So Joseph Quinn, if you guys don't know who he is, he formerly played Eddie Munson on Stranger Things, and he was also this iconic movie that I just saw yesterday, called Warfare. So please check that movie out. Warfare is an incredible movie, and it's a true story about this veteran who actually directed this film, having his own point of view of what happened in Iraq in 2008. It's really incredible, guys. So please check that video out. Even though it's kind of short, but it really will grab you on edge. So please check that movie out. Not sponsored by Fandango or AMC, but please check that movie out, alright? So anyway, so they said that Joseph Quinn on his adaptation of Johnny Storm in his Fantastic Four, he said, quote, Kevin Feige and I were speaking about previous irritations of him. He was branded as this womanizing devil may care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings. And another actor spoke about her character, about Fantastic Four, who plays Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby. She confirms that First Steps explores gender politics with Sue Storm. Alrighty, guys. You want to hear my take on these two guys? Like, I'm gonna be honest, right? The MCU has their moments, right? Like, who the hell am I kidding? MCU has been falling flat as it is. You know? Like, why could it be like a simple, non woke movie where you have these iconic Fantastic Four characters that people can relate to, especially when Stanley worked so hard on it? So, are you telling me that Johnny Storm is going to be this flamboyant, burly guy who dressed in these bold colors? Is that what you're trying to tell me? And then you're going to tell me that Sue Storm is going to be you know thinking about if she's going to want to be with Reed or not. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because look, I have nothing against anyone in the gay community. You guys are awesome, by the way. I have friends that are gay. You know, and as well as within the cosplay community, I have nothing against you guys. You guys are awesome. I love how you pull up any cosplay there is, and how you try to write your books, you put it out there, that's on you. So I give you props for that. But when it comes to the MCU universe, and I'm being honest, you guys, I just feel like this is like a push too far, in my opinion. You might agree with me, may disagree. That's totally fine. That's totally up to you. I have nothing against it. But at the same time, when you're trying to get these characters on board and these things, especially when it comes to the Fantastic Four. Like, if you guys don't know how the Fantastic Four works, it's about a team effort, right? You have Reed Richards, who can stretch his arm and be very flexible, right? You have Sue Storm, who has the ability to make, these wonderful force fields. She's invisible. She has that kind of power, right? You have Johnny, who can, have fire all over his body, and he can, create a supernova. As for Ben Grimm, he's practically the thing. He's like the mascot. He's like the muscle. You have all these guys working hard as a team, that cares for one another. That's like a family, you know? But then again, when you try to have your own spin to it, you gotta think about that Johnny can be a little bit masculine. He's very macho, and that's how he's supposed to be. Like, I think what John Joseph Quinn is trying to say is, guys, he thinks that the Chris Evans version of Johnny was very ladies man. He's like a playboy, kind of person that likes to be laid back, and he likes to have you, sleep around with other women, stuff like that. That's not what he wants in his character. What I'm thinking is that what he's trying to portray Johnny is just this whole thing where he's very laid back. He's very like maybe he has his ways of charm or whatnot, or maybe he's just that way. If you guys think about it, like you feel like he is going to be this brother where he comes out of the closet kind of thing. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm hinting, right? I guess, but I think he's very protective of his sister Sue. Maybe there's another way of putting it, but that's probably what I'm looking at. But as for Sue Storm, she's supposed to be this, a wonderful woman that is very caring, that's like very motherly, that kind of thing. I don't quite understand what Miss Kirby's trying to say, you guys, because I'm guessing that she's going to question of how Sue is. Like she rather want to be with Reed or she wants to be with someone else. It's the way they're trying to portray her character. And what bothers me is that Sue Storm is one of my favorite characters, and you guys can agree with that, right? That Sue is supposed to be this, seductive, more like have an appeal, like this whole thing where she, when you see her down the street, you can at least fall in love with her or something like that, or you want to be like her, according to some women who want to cosplay as her, which is me. I always want to like cosplay as her because she has the curves, she has the appeal. She's phenomenal. She wants everyone to look like her, right? But for her to like question if Sue Storm wants to be with Reed or not, that's kind of like really baffles me that you rather have Sue be with someone else. You know what I mean? Then you want to change the whole narrative again. What I'm feeling is that for these two characters, right, you just want to change what Stanley wrote exactly. You just want, to follow the steps of the woke culture because you think that it doesn't please anybody nowadays because you want to make this Fantastic Four specifically just this whole woke, ideology thinking that you want to change what Stanley wrote, basically. Is that correct? Because you feel like it's not good enough for people in that community. You just feel like, we need to have a brother who likes, certain things. You want him to like be open to a lot of things. The same thing with Sue Storm. I don't quite understand, right? Didn't you like never learn your lesson from the previous MCU films, like the Marvels, the Eternals? Why didn't they not listening? You know how these movies did poorly, especially the Captain America movie, right? The Brave New World. I saw that movie, you guys. I'm being honest, not to change the subject, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. I saw that movie, not crazy about it because I'm not hating on Anthony Mackie or Harrison Ford. Those two guys are awesome. Really, they really are. Like I admire Anthony Mackie in his previous movies that he did, a long time ago, and I prefer him as a Falcon, not just Captain America, and it has nothing to do with his race. I know that he follows the steps as, you know, Chris Evans as Captain America, Steve Rogers, but then again, it's the way he portrayed it, and then he had this whole thing with controversy where he mentioned about race or whatnot, being the first, African American playing Captain America, or just a first African American Marvel character in history. That kind of like blew out of the water because then he decided to change his tune, but it was kind of too late because that movie nearly bombed. And then for Harrison Ford, he's a great actor. He was in Indiana Jones. He was in Blade Runner. I like the guy. He is an incredible actor. Even he's a legend. He does incredible films. I have nothing against him. It's just the way you write the character to supposed to be and the way you tweak it to make it into a modern spin to it. That's when people lose interest. And getting back to Fantastic Four, right? I just feel like this is another thing where the MCU is gonna fall, back and not listen to fans at all because they were just gonna like twist everything that Stanley wrote and he created based on his characters, and you just want to like throw it under the bus. You just want to ignore what Stanley had created, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. They should at least ended where they just ended the film with Endgame. That's it. They didn't have to continue to expand the universe or whatnot. They didn't have to be a buzzkill with all this woke crap. The only thing that was phenomenal, you guys, in my opinion, was Endgame, the Spider-Man movie, and that was it. I could, you can judge me, you can like question my logic, but this is where I'm coming from, you guys, because I grew up in the MCU, universe watching these kind of movies. I just feel like, ever since, the death of Stanley came about, everything went downhill. Everything went to crap. Everyone wants to decide to make everything woke. The only thing that was being successful in the MCU was Deadpool and Wolverine. And you guys can be agreeing on this because that made so much money. People started being connected to one another. But once again, when Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers came to put in this effort by making everything modern nowadays, people are gonna lose interest. It's the same thing with some female writers that decide to like tweak She-Hulk and turn into a TV show, making her a feminist and whatnot. Look how that turned out. There was no season two. Even the actress who plays She-Hulk, she just threw everything under the bus. She blamed Ryan Reynolds for everything. Want to file a lawsuit. All this crap. If you guys didn't see the video, like check it out right now. I just feel like, the MCU should like restart everything and start from scratch because if they try anything to like make everything woke nowadays, people are gonna stick with comic books. And unfortunately, I feel like nowadays, like hardly anyone wants to buy comics because they notice that everything's woke. And that's gonna lose industry real fast. Everything's gonna like crash in the market. That's it. No more comics, no more, fan base, nothing. It's gonna be just flat out boring, to be honest. And they can always protest all they want. They're gonna like throw these little tantrums, all these wokies, because they think they want to be entitled. They want to be, important in life. When in reality, it doesn't have to be the case. I'm being honest. You want to make your own story, you want to make your own superhero, do us a favor and separate that from the MCU universe or the DC universe. Either way, because we don't need this right now, because we don't want to question any characters based on their sexuality. We don't want to change, the story to make it modern. We want to escape what's happening in the real world. The reason why Stan Lee created his characters like Spider-Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, all these characters and so much more that he created throughout the years. He wants us to like be those superheroes that he created. He wants us to like follow the footsteps of these, minds of these heroes, because he doesn't want us to like say, oh, this guy has to like be scared of his own shadow. Oh, why does everyone hate me because of my skin color? He never read about that. Like, honestly, what kind of idiots think like that? Honestly, you already ruined so many shows and movies based in the MCU, and you're gonna be poorly in doing this of the Fantastic Four. I don't understand it. And again, you guys, just to clarify about this, I'm not trying to attack Joseph Quinn, which I admire his acting, by the way, because he did formidable movies and TV shows throughout the decades in his career, and I'm not attacking Vanessa Kirby. So anyone that's telling me in the comment section that, oh, why are you attacking Joseph Quinn? He's a great guy. I'm not attacking him, okay? I just don't like how he put that out there that he wants his own spin of Johnny. If he wants to like criticize about Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, that's totally on him. Same thing with Vanessa Kirby. If she has something against Jessica Alba's, Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, that's totally on her, because one day critics are like going to say like, why is everyone not going to see Fantastic Four? Like, what happened? You're gonna like make everyone into this spin where they want to make a modern edge to it to please everybody? It's not gonna happen. All right, people are gonna probably leave the theater and don't want nothing to do with the MCU whatsoever. They're gonna like probably still read the old comics, and that's pretty much it. All right. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of these two actors from the Fantastic Four? Are you guys going to plan to see this movie or not? I want to hear you guys in the comment section, your comments, okay? And like I said in my video, guys, if you guys really enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, as well, don't forget to follow me on my social platforms. And of course, in the description, please subscribe my husband, Kind Kid. Okay, you guys? Love you, Kimmy. So, this is your health our leader, Megan Egan, the walking effect of Samsung. See you guys next video. Love you, Kimmy. Peace out.